All persons having anything to do before the Honorable Nathaniel M. Thornton, Judge of the United States District Court for the District of Massachusetts, now holding in Boston, in and for the District of Massachusetts, may draw near, give their attendance, and they shall be heard. God save the United States of America and this honorable court. Court is now open. Please be seated.
Good afternoon. My name is Ricky Murray, and I'm pleased to represent the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services within these proceedings today. Your Honor, there are 33 applicants for naturalization present who wish to change their name as part of the naturalization process. The government has investigated the reasons for these changes and interposes no objection. I respectfully move that all 33 name changes be allowed.
Motion is allowed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, there are 388 applicants for naturalization present here today. Each applicant has been duly examined under the provisions of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952 as amended, and each has been found well qualified for United States citizenship. At this time, I respectfully move that you request the clerk of the court to administer the oath of allegiance to all 388 applicants, thus bestowing upon them one of our nation's highest honors, United States citizenship.
The clerk is so requested.
Applicants for citizenship, please stand. Raise your right hand and repeat after me, saying your name after the word I. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince or potentate, state or sovereignty, of whom or of which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God.
Congratulations, new citizens of the United States. Welcome to the winteriest naturalization ceremony that we've ever had. And we've been having these celebrations for many, many years. But February is also known around these parts of this country for something else. It is the month we celebrate President's Day, and in particular, we honor our two greatest presidents, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. I'm going to speak about, just for a minute or so, about George Washington. He was, as you know, the father of our country, and he was here before we started. He was the general in command of the Continental Army, overwhelmingly outnumbered by British regulars and Hessian mercenaries, who, by his very presence, by his dogged determination, his will to win, withstood withstood the darkest days of our revolution, persevered, won brilliant surprise attack victories at Trenton and Princeton, New Jersey, and then, after we had won our independence and driven the British out of these colonies, he went home to be a farmer. Unlike any great, victorious, heroic general before him, he voluntarily gave up his power and authority, and largely because of that single act, we became a democratic republic. And nearly 2.5 centuries later, you are the beneficiaries. George Washington was a patriot. And this afternoon, I want to explore just for a few minutes the reasons why we celebrate our patriots and why at most public occasions and patriotic events such as these, we recognize and salute our flag. What is so special about that flag? Our flag stands for all of the sacrifices of our forefathers and foremothers that they made during the last 235 years since the Declaration of Independence to maintain the freedom that is ours by inheritance. We are asked at these public events to remember, if only for a moment, that all of the advantages that we enjoy today in this country did not just happen by good fortune. Our ancestors paid a price for that good fortune, and throughout all of our travails, our flag was still there. Those sacrifices were made not just by the men and women who were here during the American Revolution, but also by those who have joined our struggle from faraway lands every year since then up to this very day. And what did they all have in common with each other and with you as you become citizens of this great country today? Commitment. Commitment to the ideals upon which this country was founded, yes, but also a commitment that comes with a price, an obligation, and a responsibility both from and to your newly adopted country. The obligation and responsibility of your new country is to offer you what it has offered every immigrant who has come to these shores since the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock a few miles down the coast from here, nearly 400 years ago. Freedom and opportunity, nothing less and nothing more. It is not the commitment of your new country to guarantee your happiness or wealth or a free ride, but only the opportunity to make a better life for yourself and for your families. And that's where your commitment comes in. You are first and foremost responsible for yourselves, for learning and obeying our laws, for contributing something to this society and to your community. By contributing, I do not mean something monetary. I mean by presenting through your God-given talents, hard work, and moral persuasion that you bring from your places of origin something to add to the treasure of this country, so that the whole of this group will add up to much more than the sum of the individual parts that you each represent. You are responsible to perform your civic duties, of serving your country when and if it needs you, of serving on juries when and if you are called to do so, and by being good citizens all the time. Now, these are not passive responsibilities. They involve work on your part. These are troubling times that you have chosen to become a citizen of this great country. We are at war in Afghanistan and are engaged in a struggle for that war-torn country to become a democracy. People are dying so that others might have the right to vote in free elections. Here in the United States, we don't have to pay such a high price to exercise our privilege to vote, but it is just as important to our existence as a democratic nation as it is to the people of wannabe republics. Indeed, one of our great civic privileges is our right to vote. But it is not only a privilege, it is a solemn responsibility. Now I'm going to say something that may sound shocking to you at first. You should not vote until you have done something else first. It is your duty first to become informed about the issues, the become informed about the candidates and about the public offices for which they stand, and then and only then to vote. Democracy is not a spectator sport. It is something in which every citizen needs to participate as an informed voter, yes, but also as someone who speaks out on important issues, someone who may work on ballot questions or for candidates for public office, and ultimately, perhaps, but certainly not out of the question, to run for public office yourself. We need citizens who are interested and take part in our government. Politics is not something to be ridiculed. It is our lifeblood, and we demean it at our peril. And finally, in this regard, I want to close with a reference to the cornerstone document upon which our democracy is founded, the United States Constitution. And I do so because it is the Constitution that provides us with the principles by which we have been able to establish a freer, fairer, and more inclusive society. And I think it helps us all to be reminded of the genius of the Constitution from time to time. And so I'm going to read just the preamble of that historic document. Listen carefully to what it says. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Notice that we did not ordain and establish a Constitution of the United States of America. We ordained and established a Constitution for this country and for every single one of its citizens. All of the privileges and responsibilities afforded by our Constitution are there for you. Take advantage of them and take responsibility for them. Inspire us by your example, by your accomplishments, and as you take your rightful place by our side and prove to us once again that the American dream is alive and well, and that it does not matter where you come from, it matters only where your ambition, your perseverance, and your courage will take you. I bid you Godspeed, and again, congratulations. Special friend who's going to help us say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. This is Alexandra Berry, who's 12 years old and is in the Weston Middle School, and she is the daughter of Catherine Berry from Australia, who's going to be naturalized today. She's in front. Unfortunately, I don't have time to introduce each by country. But what I do at this occasion, and I found very interesting, is to introduce each by continent. So I would like all of those from Asia to please stand up.